to their hospitals and or clinics are immediately rushed away to places unknown. I want to share something. This has been total BS and a total lie that it takes days to get an Ebola answer. The military has equipment that'll do it within less than a half an hour. Some people have told me it's 10 minutes, and these are people in that field. I had a molecular geneticist, okay? Wow, that's a mouthful. Send me an email saying upon investigation, he's finding that these strains of Ebola have, if you will, sticky ends in their DNA. So point being, they're designed, Alex, as a bioweapon to incorporate existing diseases, whether it's the flu, whether it's a cold, whether it's...
Let me stop you. Dr. Francis Boyle, who wrote the U.S. Biological Weapons and Anti-Terrorism Law, he was on last Friday and said, it's in the New York Times, he said, Alex, they produced what's now being released at Galveston at the UT Level 4 facility that's in Level 2 that we'd always talk so much about. And of course, Dr. Pianka at UT says, get ready, the airborne Ebola is coming, you're all going to die, I freaked out, connected the dots. The FBI did visit him over it. But this is really getting creepy when I've got former top CIA people. I've got the guy that wrote the Biological Weapons Treaty and law. I've got you. I've got all these sources saying the same thing. This is pretty wild. What's the end game? What is it then?
Well, the end game is...
He was saying it's merged. He was saying it's merged. That's what I forgot to say. He's saying this new Ebola is meant to tie in to all these other known diseases and start super spreading. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they increased the mutagenic, or the ability to mutate, into all of their bioweapons development. Now look, here's what people have got to understand. You and you link to it, I link to it, I think you did a story on it, that by 2025 they're going to claim that the United States population has been lowered to 69 million people. Well, excuse me, that ought to piss off, forgive the language, 250 million people who are going to be dead, you know? And the fact is, when we were telling people that the globalists, now that's just the United States, their statements over and over and over are global population reduction. So the point being is that, look, I have a statement. Those who have been able to look into the future have always been ridiculed by those who are blind, deaf, dumb, and stupid, stuck on stupid, or on the government payroll, okay? The point is that in one sense they want to keep parts of this thing hidden. In the other sense, they want everybody to know what they're doing so they can rub your nose, my nose, and our noses in it. And basically now they're saying, Alex, and this is what my sources are saying, it's too late. You guys can't stop it. Well, though we can't stop it, we can save as many lives as possible. And obviously we're going to look at and have to look at self-quarantine. And look at the fact, on the 17th of October, New York was being prepped for the Ebola outreach, and outbreak. And on almost to the day, a week later, it happens. Now, look, Alex, that has nothing to do with fear-mongering. It has nothing to do... See, when we report, and you've done, an exemplary job of always documenting, but you know what? People don't want to think, because number one, it's too scary. Number two, it involves personal responsibility. And number three, the outcome is more than they can psychologically or emotionally handle. So when all of your experts, I'm talking to molecular biologists, same thing, I'm talking to generals. 1976, let me just say this, for everybody that wanted to know, it was the basis of the movie Outbreak. That was a purely biological, race-specific weapon dumped in Africa. And I still maintain, Alex, that this is a race-specific weapon. When they rush the people back to America, they're looking for any antibodies that they may not have identified in the 360 variants.
So it is a test, as Obama said, to soup it up. That's what Boyle's saying. It's what Wayne Madsen's saying. It's what you're saying. And then now the czar over Ebola says there's too many black people in Africa. That's the number one issue, is getting rid of those folks.
We're on the mark.
Get upset because I've intellectually sat here and researched this, and then he's saying it, and I'm frustrated because I'm neurotic about documenting everything I say, as he is. And I know when he talks about Project Coast that it's been declassified on record, race-specific bioweapons to kill black people. I know this is mainly killing blacks, not whites. I know that it's clearly starting to go airborne. I know that I told Rolling Stone this was going to happen back in 2011, and they made fun of it. I know. So when I'm hearing him talk, I'm going, oh, my gosh. Wayne Madsen, NSA said this. Steele, CIA said this. Robert David Steele. Dr. Francis Boyle said this, and it's not because they're just saying it. They're all sourcing documents as well that they would hide last week in the New York Times in plain view and admit that facilities in the U.S. were producing the vaccine in the last few years that matches these. That's impossible because these new Ebola has randomly mutated into the cold Ebola, a cold form-based Ebola, across. That's 1 out of 87 billion trillion. It's impossible. So you understand, they're already making vaccines years ago that are mutagens before this even ever popped up. And Boyle, who wrote the bioweapons treaty, is freaking out over it. It's so obvious. That's what's crazy. Now, I'm going to give Steve the floor after I play this clip. You're just going to hear him for the rest of the hour and 5 minutes of the next. He'll be with us for 2 hours on Thursday, an hour of analysis, an hour of calls. But I don't need, people say, how do you have so much energy on air? Well, some days I don't. When stuff like this is going on, I'm bouncing off the walls. I have 3 children. I know this stuff's going on. I'm in contact with people at the highest levels of that base. There's no quarantine. It's an open base. The families live on base and off base. They're wandering around everywhere. Troops that have been in the Ebola zone. It's just not true. We're going to be breaking that. It's the info overload of reality. I'm not watching ESPN with shortness of breath over the Seattle Seahawks and their quarterback. I have shortness of breath over this. That's a normal response. The problem is people don't get upset anymore about things they should be upset about. Now, here's a clip from World War Z. Then we're going to Steve Quayle. I'm giving him the floor to start back over, go through everything he said, and give you the latest. So you just told me about race-specific bioweapons during the break. I got very upset about it because I'm just so sick of this, and it's so obvious, and it's got to stop, and it shows how bold these people are. Here is Brad Pitt. Here is Brad Pitt. Here's the intro to World War Z last year where they're talking about something spreading and the UN's not going to stop the flights. See how they're preconditioning you? Just like they show in the new Captain America all new Acuras that the feds drive. And then I look, the feds just bought a bunch of Acuras. It's all part of a branding rollout. Everything's a branding rollout. And you can see branding rollout. Just like I knew the CIA or somebody had to go to the X-Files, Chris Carter, and say, we want a government to hijack a jet and fly it in the World Trade Center to blame Afghanistan and bring in martial law. We're going to use a drill to have NORAD stand down. That aired 6 months before 9/11. And then the X-Files star, Dean Haglund, shows up at my door and goes, you know, you're right. The CIA came to us and said, write that. That was 9 months before, then it aired 6 months before. This is the world I live in. So I see stuff like this, and I remember being in the movie theater watching this and getting upset and saying, that was subliminal, that was predictive programming, when I saw it, and then Nico reminded me of this last week. Here's the clip.
Police say they've seen similar cases recently of people behaving strangely.
The UN Health Agency is not likely to recommend official travel restrictions.
It will be unsettling.
They're not physicists. They're not engineers. They think it's just going to go away. They live in a fantasy parallel universe.
On top of the man beating him, the man is
21 confirmed cases.
All the talk about a doomsday is a big hoax.
Pacific ground continue to
Okay, so, and the film's all about overpopulation. That's why, and the book says it's a good thing that the zombies came to destroy the American gun owners. And we just found a Rockefeller document that Mikhail is on that's public 3 years ago saying they would use Ebola, and it shows it emanating in the graph out of Africa, to bring in tyranny, to basically bring in a police state. So I give the floor now to Steve Quayle. The problem is there's just so much data, Steve. Break it down. What is it? Where's it coming from? What's the latest? What do you think is going to happen next, Steve Quayle?
Okay, Alex, first of all, most people are dealing with the fruit of evil and not going to the root of evil. The root of evil is this is a biological weapon. It has concurrent with the various forms that are patented by the CDC, its corresponding supposed vaccines that are also patented. But taking everyone back to the start of it, in the late 70s, 1970s, South Africa, under the direction of Wouter Basson, B-A-S-S-O-N, and Operation Coast, began work on race-specific bioweapons. It's really critical people understand that. He pretty much pioneered, if you could find any genetic marker, you could basically build a bioweapon directed at that genetic marker. This is why in 1976, in Africa, they achieved with an Ebola, a true hemorrhagic fever weapon, almost a 90% death rate. Now, interesting, Alex, that corresponds with the globalists' own statements, which you've repeated on for as long as you've been on the air, how many people they want to kill. This is why they are bringing the, I'll say it bluntly, the white people back, and even, they're living, and these are people that have genuinely been exposed to the Ebola variant, or let's call it this, the false Ebola disease, okay? The problem that people cannot relate to, and this is it, they cannot believe that there is a sinister, wicked, supernatural evil. These people are Satanists. They hate human life. That's the whole basis of transhumanism. By the way, Alex, let me say this. When I wrote the book, Breathe No Evil, and I was on your show back then, you announced it at the beginning of the stage, I will not reprint that book. I'm down to the last 80 or 100 copies of that. And when my books go out of print, they go on Amazon. I'm astounded. On Amazon for $300 and $400. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, Breathe No Evil laid out the plans now of the chemical, biological weapons. Even the gentleman you talked about on the chemical and biological weapons treaty, everybody and their dog was skirting it, including the United States. Let's jump immediately to vaccines. If nothing that has been spoken of by the Center for Disease Creation has been true, then what makes anybody believe that the vaccines will not have a timed release of a, let's say, encapsulated or a secondary pathogen that is in an envelope? When I wrote Breathe No Evil, I said the plans were even to poison the U.S. mail by using the glue on stamps or the glue on the envelope sealant as a growing medium for whatever biological weapon. You remember, Alex, that people were checking the mails, they were putting they were putting their mail in packages, even through scanners, hitting it with ultraviolet light. So the point being is that there's a lot of disinformation out there, but here's what people got to understand. It was less than, 2 months ago when the president brought the nations of Africa, their rulers, pretty much to the White House. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Now, why is that relevant? They were either clued in, bought off, or guaranteed that this was going to break out. So what most people don't realize is the race war is something the New World Order wants. Our blacklisters don't want it. People of good faith, I don't want it. Nobody wants it, but they want it, okay? So how does this tie in? This ties in at some point. They will officially release or be forced to release that there is, in all of its forms and variants, a race-specific bioweapon. When that comes out, you know what's going to hit the fan. By the way, I believe Louis Farrakhan's already made, I'm not endorsing him, I'm just saying he's already drawing that conclusion. So, as they have been able to identify specific markers in the genetic code of specific races, look, they could do it against blue-eyed blondes if they wanted to. Let everyone understand that when they see these events taking place, whether it's Ebola, scientists being killed in the aircraft over Ukraine, whether it's my dead scientist. Listen, one of the most important things, Alex, is one of the dead scientists, I think he's number 54, 57, you have to go on my website and check out him. The guy had developed the universal, listen to this, the universal antidote to all viruses. Well, sure, they'd want to whack him. And can I be blunt? The greatest disconnect, I think, in people is when I get emails from them saying, well, why are all these scientists being killed who are molecular biologists, who are the lead scientists, virologists, biological weapons experts? Real simple. They don't want anybody existing out of their control that can develop a functioning vaccine, or also let the cat out of the bag. If you're going to destroy 90% of the world, now that's not fear-mongering, that's not doom porn, that is a specific stated desire there. So here's the deal. Don't confuse me with facts as the average critic of yours and mine. Our minds are made up. What they have to understand is they haven't paid the price to basically go and research this. They don't have the connections you have or I have. I had a CIA, he's dead now, top agent, spent years in Lubyanka prison in Moscow, traded for a Russian spy. Tell me point blank, laughingly, he said, of course we pulled off the whole development in 1970.